is also an extremely important thing as a PSA to the LEGO community with whom they might be doing business with. So I think no matter how you spin it, no matter how you look at this and peel back the layers of the onion, I think even if you didn't agree with all the things they did, which I do understand in a few instances, I think all of it did lead to something very important, which was trying to help someone that had been wronged by a corporation that refused to try and make things right without this public spectacle unfolding here. And also, unironically, Ben has made a sacrifice to, like, his personal freedom. He's went to jail twice for this and is now wrapped up in some very serious litigation. And all of that under the attempts to try and make things right for Brian. And like I said, again, if you don't agree with all the ways he went about it, nothing would have been changing without Ben doing those things. Brian still wouldn't have been getting what he was owed, or Rick's to minifigs and the franchisee would have still been just giving him the cold shoulder, treating him like nothing. So I think it has been a positive thing that Ben has gone to bat for. And now I think this latest decision is one that can be unanimously moved. To now silence the guy who has been talking about this and diving into it, I think is always just a completely inexcusable look. And here's the thing, even if Bricks and Minifigs does end up winning against Ben, this kind of decision here is just such an underhanded, shitty tactic, already on the back of them trying to take down his Patreon, his main source of income, that it is inexcusable and, in my opinion, pretty unforgivable. That is an irreparable blow to their reputation. Even if they do win, no one will be able to look at this company the same way again, and probably won't feel comfortable doing business with this corporation. That's what I think. And again, his investigation has spread beyond just Bricks and Minifigs, like it showed some very questionable, very, very shady shit from the American Fork Police Department, obviously. But it doesn't seem like the American Fork Police Department is the one that is now attempting to censor Ben here, under threat of throwing his life away if he continues to talk about them and show his investigation. That is Bricks and Minifigs, the mystery company, whom I believe to be Bricks and Minifigs, based on what I think is pretty obvious evidence.
They sent court papers to my email, which I guess a judge approved for them that this was a valid form of service. And so now that I'm officially served, I cannot even mention this company, or I will be in jail and everything. Normally I would be like, screw the big guy telling me what to do, I'm going to do what's morally right. But in this situation, if I do that, then all my friends get screwed with this lawsuit, and we lose all the GoFundMe money we raised, like, immediately.
Completely understandable. I don't think there's a soul on this planet that blames him for that. There's really no other option than to comply with the demands of this lawsuit here, because if he doesn't, then everyone's getting face fucked. Not just Ben, anyone that was even attached to a single tendril to this case here, including the main victims here, Brian, they would then lose everything that was built up across this with the GoFundMe. So it makes sense why he is unfortunately having to make this decision to not continue talking about it and putting forth the evidence in part 3. I am very curious why they were able to serve him those papers through email as opposed to when Ben was apparently instructed that the only viable means was through amicable, like, service, trying to serve the papers himself. But I guess maybe there's a chance where a judge looked at this and said, like, oh, so Ben tried to serve them, they weren't receptive, so it's very likely that he wouldn't be receptive to Bricks and Minifigs trying to serve to Ben. So we'll grant you the motion to issue the service through email. But even in that case, I feel like that would have been easy for them to extend that same courtesy to Ben to serve through email, but I don't think they ever did based on everything that was shown in the previous videos. So that was a little confusing to me, and it's hard not to immediately think back on everything that was shown via the police body cam and what was said on those body cams and what we saw in some really, really, really questionable behavior from these officers. It's hard not to immediately think of maybe something a little deeper and perhaps a little bit corrupt. But that's just that's where my head goes here, because there are some very questionable things that have unfolded on camera in regards to how all of this has been handled in that space there, but that's all just alleged. I'm not saying it 100% is the result of corruption why this was deemed a viable means of service. I'm just very surprised is all that Ben wasn't able to utilize email for serving the papers to the franchisees. So I am no longer allowed to even mention this mystery company. My personal opinion is that this is unfair because this order was put on me because this company was telling the court that I was making bomb threats, I was planning on murdering the manager and employees. Obviously I didn't do, and you can see that in the footage. The problem is I was not given a chance to share my side. The court just heard their perspective, not mine. So because I wasn't able to share my side, I am now no longer allowed to talk about them, and looks like this might be it. So, yeah. It's so fucking diabolical how they make these allegations that Ben was threatening them with bombs and violence and stuff like that. I'm gonna go over there and kick their butts, I'm gonna go in there and motorboat their cheeks and punch them up real bad and stuff, I'm gonna beat them up. They're saying all these things, which then enables them to move this forward to gag him without ever even seeing Ben's side of it, apparently, according to Ben here. That doesn't make sense to me at all, how that happens. I don't know if that's standard procedure or what, but I know in the case of like stalkers, like streamers who have had stalkers, they will give the most unhinged DMs, like actual hard proof DMs, messages, actual threats, even stalkers showing up to the house. They will provide that, and still authorities never really move to do anything to the stalkers. So why are they moving so hard against Ben? Like, again, you can question some of those methods, and yeah, someone could teeter on like ballpark definitions of like stalking in regards to them trying to like serve them and stuff. But what's irrefutable is how lightly stalkers get taken so often with like actual dangerous psychopaths who are a threat to individual safety. They just get to walk away scot-free, willy-nilly, not taken seriously. But in this case, when it's a corporation that's alleging it, now all of a sudden the hammer's coming down. Here comes the giant fist. That's just fucked up. And they apparently didn't even hear out Ben's side, which apparently has supporting video evidence as well to the contrary, proving that he wasn't making those threats or saying those things or doing any of what was alleged. It's weird. It's weird. And the freaks at Bricks and Minifigs just don't seem to recognize that even if Ben can't talk about it, you know what's going to happen? Everyone else is going to talk about it. They truly just don't understand the Streisand effect at all. Genuinely at all. They've never even heard the term, I guess. That nomenclature? Nothing. It's a fantasy to them. Like, it could have been so easily avoidable, all of this, if Bricks and Minifigs wasn't such assholes based on all available evidence here. And the CEO is addicted, like I said, to this humiliation ritual of putting his face on all of it. Going on streams, be clowning himself. Like, constantly talking about it himself. So you're hearing it right from the top of the food chain. And it only keeps making it worse, and it makes people keep talking about it. So then, censoring Ben isn't going to just stop the story, it's only going to make it spread even more, as more and more people talk about it now that Ben can't. And I cannot believe that they can't recognize that fact. It's fucking unfathomable that people run a company that handles this much money that Bricks and Minifigs does, millions upon millions of dollars, and can't understand the simplest concepts about the world and life. It's so weird to me. It's so weird. But anyway, very unfortunate new development here in this Lego scandal. Had to yap about it. That's really about it. See ya.
What? Sorry about it. The beat off 2026, 55 minutes. Fuck that. I'm going on the next one. Load above. next. There's entrance. Come on. Change Mitra. And subscribe. This worst restaurant. Beginners. Alien. Versus most hunting, not tears. 10 games again. Shit. Refresh. I can't spend that. Okay. That's also about coffee. Zombie.
All of the Black Ops 2 zombies super struggled the one in View 3, but what about the Cold War? Because the story implications are still to this day, 6 years later, the characters introduced and things that we were told that still haven't come to fruition. Stragos and Robots. I thought by now these loose ends would have been tied in because we've had what? Vanguard zombies, when we'll then do Black Ops 6 and now Black Ops 7. It feels like Trail have forgotten about this for real, and it would make sense because one of the writers or one of the people that did intel for this game left not long after, and you can see the implications of that. PSN has where those many documents and what we do have in my opinion is a key. Well, this was the one bit of story I was by now would have heard about. So after putting every single main quest of Cold War, now breaking
everything together.
This shrine to interact with it, will begin speaking.
Watching is done here. A reward for your offerings. Our ways are of the old world. We will not forgotten. You will learn more in time.
We are never told who this is. At the time, a lot of people thought it sounded like Dr. Monty. It's not. Well, there are a few clues. He said, our ways are not of the old world. We will not be forgotten. So there's more of him. The words old world reminds me of the old ones that we know were the Elder Gods, Cortifex, Nauticus, Volcano, etc. But in the game that came after, Vanguard, this does not sound like one of them. In fact, this demon is helping us. It gives us a weapon boost, and of course Vanguard Zombies takes place before Cold War. At this point in time, ones like Cortifex were dead. And that final quote you heard from him, you will learn more in time. Well, it's been 6 years, mate. Where have you gone? But to go along with this, and actually I don't know if the two go hand in hand, but there are a couple of documents in the map Forsaken which were from Stragos, the Donkey Sealot. He gave us, and I'm going to show gender here, the Crystal Axe, and told us how to make
it said, created by the blast of the three-headed beast. The geo's sharp edges could cut through a victor's shield, let alone the flesh of mortal and immortal. The crystal-like savager cannot be forged without it. Ripped from the chest of a tormented soul, the crystal heart burns with such vigour it can power the cannons of Nauticus. Be wary, for its fire must remain lit, for its potency to be assured. The polymorphic crystal can shift and shape seamlessly. The source of the crystallix's transformative prowess, a crystal of my own creation, ensuring the weapon cannot be forged without my guidance. By my hand shall the Forsaken be undone. He may have enslaved my disciples, but he shall not enslave me. And then there was a second document from Spragamos which said, Crystalax, forged in pools of Ethereum, two forms the Crystalax shall take. The Savager, sharp as the mountains in the badlands of Diprox. The Storm, powerful as the winds of the ocean's Exploria. For if you are to defeat one in his many, it will take both to tear him apart. The devoured shall be reborn. Their scattered ashes shall be reborn. The sacred torment will endure when the old ones reign once more. So these documents confirm that these were not simply teasers to Vanguard zombies, because like I said, that game takes place in the 1940s, but here we're being told that the old ones will reign once more. Cold War takes place in the 80s and will continue in Year 6 and Year 7 into the 90s. Even though we are inside of the document right now in Black Ops 7, the old ones have not reigned once more. Although there are other document entities which we've been introduced to, and that's the Shadowsmiths. So far we've seen Mytharian, Cartheris, and I never know how to pronounce his name, Travakar. There is a book which we're going to be meeting on the next one. This demon doesn't sound like any of the Shadowsmiths that so far. It actually could just be Spragamos since he's still alive and helped us out by giving us the Crystal Axe. But even then, why haven't we seen him? Looking at his story, we know that Spragamos aligned himself with the old ones at one point. These were his disciples. However, once the Forsaken came to power, everything changed. He began to devour the old ones and subjugate the rest, including Spragamos' disciples. So he created the Crystal Axe, gave it to our crew, used it to defeat the Forsaken, and we were then told that he reinstated the reign of the old ones. But again, this entire plot, from my understanding anyway, just has not happened. We can theorise who this demon is. It may be Spragamos, but it's never been confirmed. It's just interesting how this is forgotten war. Who knows, we still have 2 more maps to go, and Spragamos may become an important heartbeat. After the Forsaken was defeated, the war came to power, so there hasn't really been a point in time in the document where there isn't one entity who's in charge, and they're the only 2 that we have right now, the Shadowsmiths and the Ether. Speaking of Dr. Monty, as I mentioned earlier, he was banished into the Dark Ether. We don't know his fate, he could be dead, he could be alive. For everyone who was saying the demon sounded like him, I couldn't rule it out 100%. To me it just doesn't make sense, though, how he says, we are of the old. It doesn't align unless he's talking about the old multiverse. I've done way too many videos on Dr. Monty's fate. Could be the Shadow Man, again, no. At the end of Year 4, he was still inside of the Summoning Key when it was destroyed, so either he was destroyed not with it, or his soul broke free and again was banished into the Dark Ether. I just don't think it's anywhere there. It's not any of the other gods that we know. In the Machine, I just thought I'd throw this one in there because it's pretty fun. There was some writing on the crashed plane nuke which said Chernobog's wrath is coming. Chernobog, if you don't know, was a Slavic god of darkness, and with the Machine taking place in Poland and this being demon. From there, I would suspect whoever did the rest of the graffiti in the map did this as well, but it's not a demon that's directly linked to the storyline. Maybe just something that one of the locals believed in. What's going to happen at the end of Black Ops 7 when the Warden inevitably dies? We know that's coming. His goal is to restore a singular universe where the Confederacy won. He's not going to achieve that because if he does, that means the end of everything. You're essentially getting another Black Ops 4 ending situation. So I think the Warden is going to be killed, but that means someone's going to have to replace him because we've always had that Dark Ether man, whether it be the Shadow Man or Dr. Monty, Forsaken, the Warden, Cortex, Samantha at a certain point. You can say Rick Toppelman is inside of Black D, or even Dr. Maxis at the end of Buried. There's always been someone at the top controlling things. I would have said because MW3 Zombies takes place in 2021, and right now we're in 91, we should be looking at how that game ended or began to get a clue. But it's a weird one because we kind of have a paradox going on. Modern Warfare 3 Zombies could not take place without the events of BO7, but BO7 could not have taken place without the events of Modern Warfare 3 because the Warden has Ava in his captivity. I'm not sure on her exact birthday, but she shouldn't have been born yet, and even though time in the dog works differently, MW3 is in the same universe as Black Ops 7. Weaver, Harmon, Ray, and Strauss are still going to die unless we can miraculously prevent that, but I think it's unlikely. So in order to know what the Black Ops 8 zombies storyline revolves around, depending on when it takes place, it might be in the early 2000s. I don't think we've had any leaks for it yet. I suspect it's going to be a futuristic game. We're still, 2 or 3 years away. One thing we do know is this will be whatever happens in DLC 5 will wrap up the entire storyline that Treyarch have been telling throughout Cold War, Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. That's what we've been told. If that's the case, well, that is another Black Ops 4 situation, right? Everything's wrapped up, and then we can start afresh just like they did in Cold War in the next game. So imagine if we go through all of this, and we still don't find out who this demon was, or we still don't see Spragamos. Imagine it. Never learn more about the lore of this Super Easter egg, unless it was one of the Vanguard Old Gods, unless it's one of the Shadow Smiths. I think Treyarch have forgot. So, there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.
Welcome to the second annual Beat Off. About a year ago, me and my friends beat off on this stream, actually in this room. And I think you guys heard that section, and you said, I want more. Today, we got more. Because we're going from 3 men in the Beat Off to 4. Aiden will be joining us today. Now, here's the deal. And I actually want to cover this right now. A lot of you guys are in this stream expecting for me to make some, funny, jokey beats. Okay, you're expected to sit here and watch me make something like this. Be off the track. Okay, not gonna happen. I'm letting you know right now. I'm gonna be dropping shit. Let me show you an example. My shit's gonna sound like this. See what I'm saying? A true beat is going to be made today. Let's dive in, because we don't have too much time, because we have a hard out at 6, and I want to make sure everyone has at least 3 hours to make their beat. This year, as opposed to last year, there's going to be a couple changes. First off, for this second annual beat off, we have a prompt. A prompt? Yeah. Prompt, eh? If you're trying to sail a ship, you need to know where you're sailing to. Otherwise, you're just lost in the ocean. Wow. Is that the prompt? The prompt is, fucking beautiful. You can make a beat, but what we really want is a CS2 MVP moment in the beat. Basically, imagine you're playing CS2, okay? You're playing with a bot frag. It's a bad day for everybody. It's a 1v4. You're pulling off a fucking miracle. You clutch the round, and then this song plays. Okay, I get it. That's not the part. Yeah, that's not the part. That's not the part. Not a real head. It's crazy. Like Counter-Strike. It's crazy the time set. You could just time stamp it yourself. I did. There it is. There it is. Okay, there we go. This one. Yeah. Or, classic. I am no one, you're done, you don't need to take respect up on the street. That was a little harder to pull off. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to make a 5-second beat. I think there's more to it that will be judged. But we do have the software to have any winning song be the MVP song for all the losers. And I think that should be the reward today. I have one more twist for you all. Porter Robinson was going to judge. He can no longer judge. But that's like your uncle. No. I asked him for a sample everyone had to use in their beat. I didn't listen to it. I heard 2 seconds, so I think I know what it is. It says magnum opus. On loop? No, I'm not going to use this. He thinks this is interesting because he doesn't know you, but I don't care. I've heard this a million times. It's 50 seconds.
I'm sorry, I see this.
Wait.
Okay. We can sample any section of this?
Yeah.